Welcome to the Clarity Advisor Show, where you'll learn how to grow your team today. Join Ken Trupke and his guests as they discuss what works and doesn't work to grow your team in today's world. And now, your host, Ken Trupke.
Hello, and welcome to the Clarity Advisor Show. Today is another Ask Me Anything show where I address your questions. If you have a question, please send it to ken@clarityadvisors.io, and I'll try to get to it on a future show. All right, today's question. I own a company of about 50 people. Through the summer, I've heard a few random conversations about politics. Now, with the election only weeks away, I'm concerned that my team will get distracted and even divided by too much political discussion. Is it reasonable to limit political talk at work? And how do you suggest I approach it? Great question, because yes, as of the time of this recording, we are only a couple weeks away from a presidential election in the United States, and things are going to get even louder than they already are. And probably after the election, it's going to continue to be loud and maybe even louder yet, because presumably approximately half of the country will be unhappy no matter what happens. So how do we deal with that at work when it's likely that at your company, there is maybe not 50-50, but some people on each side of the issues? And how do we keep that from becoming so divisive and so loud and angry as it seems to be elsewhere outside of work? And one thing I think we need to do, because there are going to be political conversations, you can't completely stop them. So what we want to, I think, encourage our teammates to do is, and this is outside of work too, I think we want to encourage everyone and try to adopt this ourselves, is to give others the benefit of the doubt, to truly believe that they want the best for themselves, their family, and everyone else, just like we do. Where there's disagreement, it's in the means. We think there's a different path to achieve those things, to achieve that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, to pursue what we believe is good for ourselves and others. It's not that we don't want good, it's that we disagree on the path to get there. So step back and give people the benefit of the doubt. They're not a bad person. They just have different ideas. And I think we would all do really well to listen and have more civil discussion around different ideas, just like we do in general at work. We don't get super divided at work and start calling people bad people because they disagree with what we think the budget should be for accounting this year and how many salespeople we need. We don't start screaming at each other. So how do we tone things down out in the real world as well, I think is just a kind of a side point to make here. So, all right, let's get to your question. And even there, I want to step back and let's just remind ourselves of what it is we're doing at work and who we are when we're at work. And of course, you're about to hear the sports analogy, because I strongly believe that a team is the right analogy for work, not a family. And it provides a lot of benefits, one of which we're about to address here, in terms of putting on the jersey and getting on the field at work as the team at work. So there are all different kinds of people on a team, sports team, community team, whatever it is, work team, all different people. And that's great. We want all different kinds of people with all different interests and all different abilities and all different things. We don't want everyone to be just one kind of person, because we need different people to fulfill roles in marketing and sales and accounting and engineering. And those tend to be very different types of people that excel in those areas. So yes, we want the differences in people. We want to celebrate that. What brings us together is our commitment to two things: our what and our how. Our what is our purpose, the problem that we solve in the world, the product or service that we're called to deliver to the customers that we choose to serve. Our how is our core values, the way people on this team strive to behave, not perfectly, but with full intention. We are going to be the kind of people that do things this way. And so when you put on the jersey, so to speak, when you're at work, you're committed to doing what we do, how we do it. And frankly, that's all. We don't need to agree to or agree on anything else. People can like or dislike anything and everything, but we don't want that to distract us when we're on the field, when we're doing the work, when we're serving our customers. We want to be united around that what and how. Now, if someone brings up a political topic, we can ask, hey, does that directly relate to our business? Because maybe we're in a space where some legislative bill or a policy directive might impact our product or service. It might impact our customers, and we need to discuss that. But if a policy or politics question or topic is just for the sake of conversation, well, then I think it's fair to say that that doesn't have a place in our workplace. Now, when you take off the jersey and step outside our four walls, whether that be actual four walls or virtual four walls, you're, so to speak, off the clock. Well, then you're free to express yourself any way you want. You can hold any position on anything that you want. And you can be what people like to say these days, authentically yourself. And people might push back on that then and say, well, then why can't I be authentically myself and talk about what I want, when I want, the way I want at work? Well, I would ask, do you wear, do, and say everything the same when you're at home and at a funeral or at the beach or at a barbecue? No, those are all very different things. And you wear things and do things and say things differently depending on those occasions. Well, it's the same thing at work. You can be authentically your work self. You just can't be necessarily your authentic beach self when you're at work, or your authentic political self when you're at work. Because we're here to serve customers. We're here for the what we do and the how we do it, not anything else. And so, yes, absolutely, we want to hear your ideas, your authentic ideas about how we can improve what we do, how we serve our customers. I want to know how we can improve the products and services we provide to them or improve their experience with us. We want to hear your ideas about how we can better live out how we work, our core values. How do we live those out? But we don't necessarily want to hear your ideas about politics anymore. We want to hear your thoughts on pickleball or cooking or parenting or anything else. Not that they're not valid, they're just not core to what we're here to do. Now, if you find someone who wants to talk about politics or parenting or cooking or pickleball, because either they agree with you or maybe they disagree with you, but they're willing to engage in a conversation, that's great. That needs to be private on a break, not out in the main work area during work hours, or even at the table in the center of the lunchroom. You can say, well, lunch is my own time. Well, but you're still at work with your jersey on. We're still there for the purpose of serving customers, and we do things the way we intend to do things with our core values. And so you can have those conversations if they're civil and private at work at the appropriate times, or just take those outside of work. Go out for lunch and have that conversation, or meet after work or before work and have that conversation. So we're not trying to stifle the conversation. We're not trying to limit how you think or what you think. We're trying to stay focused on what we're here to do during the game, during the time we're at work serving our customers. That's game time. That's when we're on the field. That's when we have our jersey on. And that means we're committed to those two things, doing what we do and doing it how we do it. And after that, you can pretty much do whatever you want. But because we don't want to bring this divisiveness that we see sometimes outside of work, especially around politics, we don't want to bring that into the workplace. We don't need to take sides on political things to be successful at work. So let's not distract ourselves. Let's stay focused on our customers. We don't even need to agree on what your approach should be in parenting. We don't need to agree on cooking recipes. We don't need to agree on barbecue. Do we want to do pulled pork, or is brisket better? We don't need to agree on those things. And if we disagree, we can do it civilly, but it really doesn't have a place at work. And that's the same, I would suggest, for politics. And so specifically with your team, I would suggest that you start, if you've got 50 people, I would start with the senior leaders and have this conversation with them. Remind them that we're here on the field to do things, to do the what we do, for who we serve, and how we do it. And that's it. That's the limit of what we need to agree on. Doesn't mean we can't agree on other things. Doesn't mean we can't disagree on other things. It just means it's not important and we shouldn't get distracted by it. Let's stay focused when we're on the field and make sure that they really understand that, so that when you go and have a conversation with the rest of the company, the leaders can reinforce that message, that you're speaking with a consistent voice, and that frankly, those leaders understand why you're saying what you're saying and why you're holding that position. And hopefully the broader team understands that as well. We're not trying to limit free speech here. It's just that some speech doesn't necessarily have a place appropriate at work. It doesn't mean it's not appropriate to hold those views. It just means you can't bring them to the workplace and help us to be productive. So how do we actually communicate this to our team? The listener with the question has a team of 50. And so clearly you could bring those people into a room or on a Zoom meeting if they're remote or hybrid and deliver the message directly. And I encourage you to do that. I think it's important for people to hear things directly at the same time, synchronously from the leader. However, I also think it's important to make sure that your senior team is on board and that they understand why we're saying what we're saying, so that they can reinforce that message and maybe help you tweak the tone of it so that it comes across in the way you intend it and people don't misinterpret it. So what I would propose is, if you've got a senior leadership team, I would pull them together and have this conversation first. Make sure they understand what you're saying and why you're saying it, and then let them know that you intend to speak directly to the entire company and ask them for feedback on how you should present that, on what you should say, maybe what you shouldn't say, and make sure that we're all in agreement, you and your senior leaders, as to how this message is going to get delivered and what the message is. And then go ahead and have like a town hall meeting or a company-wide Zoom meeting or whatever it is, and get that message out. And what this looks like practically then is when someone starts a political conversation or makes a political comment in the workplace, that everyone feels empowered because they know from the top down, this is how we're going to behave, to pull that person aside and say, hey, listen, having that kind of conversation or making those kind of comments, that's not how we're going to do it here. We're not going to talk about politics in the workplace. It doesn't matter that I agree with you or I disagree with you. That's not the point. The point is we don't want to bring that into the workplace. We're here to serve our customers and live through our core values, not to talk about politics. And just make it not that big a deal. We don't want to make a big show of it in front of everybody or make an example of anybody. We just want to make sure it's tamped down and that everybody feels empowered to pull somebody aside and say, hey, we're not going to behave that way. The short answer here is absolutely, it is within your rights as the business owner to limit what we talk about at work if it's divisive to work. It just doesn't have a place at work. Let's stay focused on our customers. That's who we're here to serve. Think and talk about whatever you want outside of work and work hours. But here, we're going to focus on our customers. So there you go. My take on how to deal with the upcoming and probably ongoing now political conversations at work. Feel free again to email me with your questions. Send it to ken@clarityadvisors.io. And we'll see you next time on the Clarity Advisor Show.
Thank you for listening to the Clarity Advisor Show. Clarity Advisors is a speaking, training, and consulting firm specializing in helping you simplify your sales and operating systems to improve efficiency and grow your profits. Connect with Clarity Advisors today to learn more about how they can help you improve communication and get your team aligned and engaged for greater success.